Thank you, Governor Baker. Thank you for not only being here to offer some thoughts and some kind words tonight, but thank you for taking a day to tour our community, to go down to Woods Hole today and look at some of the things that are happening in Woods Hole and at the Oceanographic Institution. Thank you for coming out to Joint Base Cape Cod and to learning more about the mission and the realignment and the thousands of jobs of some folks in this room and neighbors throughout our community and how important it is to us. So it wasn't just a political stop. Thank you for doing, as you said, the work of government by spending a day to really get to understand at a granular level the things that are important to us. Thank you. So Team Vieira, right? Isn't that what the emails say? You all get Team Vieira. So who is Team Vieira? Well, Team Vieira starts with a new 4-year-old and her mom, Rebecca and Emma. This is a tough job. Not that it's tough every day. I always said, my grandfather said, I don't have enough calluses on my hands, that this is a tough job. But it does take a lot of time away from the family and a lot of evenings where you don't get to read the story at night. And so I just want to thank Rebecca and Emma for being able to understand that, and then we bridge our gaps. Those of you that follow Facebook Sunday, we're usually hiking somewhere outside and really dedicating that day. If I can't do this job 6 days a week, then I don't want this job. So I give you 6 days full-time, and nights and Sundays are ours. So thanks for sticking with me. And thank you, sir. Thanks, Emma. And my mom and dad, Bill and Donna. Best thing my father ever did was in August, he took me up onto a roof in East Falmouth when it was 85 degrees so we could shingle the roof, and I said, damn it, I'm going to college and I'm going to study hard. And standing next to him, Mr. Duffney knows what we're talking about there, but no, thank you for the guidance growing up in a small business. My brother Danny is here as well. Danny's working at the small business with us. It's now T-Ticket Park. It used to be Joe's Driving Range that my grandfather started back in the early 1950s, and learning that importance of small business and the things that government regulation created, and one thing that I don't know if I should tell y'all, but I will, because I think it violates a labor law. But so when I was 13 years old, my father gave me this large plastic sheet and asked if I would help doing the payroll at the driving range. And so you unfold this plastic sheet, for those of you that remember it, and it was the Social Security schedule. And you would go down in increments of 5 to 10 cents to figure out how much your employee owed for Social Security. And so as I'm helping my dad do the payroll at 13 years old, I'm thinking, where's all this money going to? These guys are working hard out there, and we're sending it all over the place. So understanding that relationship was so important growing up in a small business. I want to thank Brian Keefe, who you met earlier. Brian is the chairman of the Vote Vieira Committee and an Eagle Scout from my alma mater, Troop 42. Brian, thank you. Town coordinators really spent a lot of time to build the infrastructure. That's why we're having a kickoff so late. We wanted to have an infrastructure together. We have Cheryl Cousins-Long from Falmouth, Don Picard from Bourne, and Jeff Smith from Mashpee as town coordinators. I won't list them all, but out of the 14 precincts, we have 12 precinct captains, most of which are here this evening. So you'll be hearing, if you sign up tonight to help me out, you'll be hearing from your precinct captains and your town coordinators as we move forward. So thank you to the precinct captains that are in the room. Bill Zammer, thank you for providing an opportunity for us to get together here tonight and to talk about the future, and for your support over the years. There he is, he's over there. We're looking that way, he's in the back. Thanks, Bill. This is great. Linda, all you do for the community. I've been to so many events in this hall. This is more than a restaurant. This is a community gathering place, and I know we'll continue to talk about ways that it will continue to be a community gathering place in the years to come. Finally, to my colleagues that are here tonight, thank you for coming out. Keiko, I didn't even know you were here till they introduced you. Thank you for coming all the way into the New National Committee women. And to Representative Madden, who had to grab that boat to get back to the island, I think, or back to Boston. We were up at the base, touring the base, and he said, "So you're going to the Coonamessett, huh?" I said, "Yeah, if you'd like to join us. I know, there's that Democrat-Republican thing." And he goes, "All that we've done together, all that we've done, I'll stop by." So I want to thank Representative Madden for our continued work. And I could go on and on with the thank yous, but I know we've been having quite a speaking program tonight. So I just want to sort of set a few priorities going forward and some things about what I need you all to help me with. I need you to go out and help talk about the things that we've done, as you've heard tonight, but also talk about the things that we want to do. And so I've got sort of 5 things that I want us to focus on. Maybe you can each pick 1 or 2 that you like the best and go out and help us talk about what we've done and what we're going to do in the future. And the first is economic development. We've heard the governor talk today about the economic development bill, which our committee, the bonding committee, pulled it out last week. We hope to maybe have it Thursday in the House, but I'm the ranking member of the bonding committee, and that bill has investments in bonds for 3 years. The governor's proposal was 5 years. Most of our bond bills are open-ended. I will be moving an amendment on the floor to try to go to the 5 years. We actually had the chairman interested, but they were told to report the bill out in 24 hours and we didn't have time to change it. So, Governor, thank you for your leadership on that. We'll try to get that thing out of the House so Vinny can take care of it. We were down at Woods Hole today and we had the head of the Seaport Economic Council. This was an organization who had its first meeting after being reorganized out at Mass Maritime Academy this year, and it announced a series of grants, one being a hydrokinetic tidal test turbine site in the Cape Cod Canal under the railroad bridge between the stanchion and the side. We've got 3 companies that are already lined up that want to come forward. This is a project that I've worked years with the collaborative, and we're finally able to seek the funding through the newly organized Seaport Economic Council, and Governor Baker and his staff and Lieutenant Governor Polito gave us one of the first grants of that new Economic Council. Those companies will be coming in as soon as the Army Corps finishes testing that site and the jobs that come around that. So thank you, Governor, for the grant. But also the military spin-offs. We're out at Joint Base Cape Cod, and we're out there today looking at 2 of the particular units, but we also have that unmanned aerial vehicle test site that some of you have heard about and seen in the newspaper. And just as Hydroid, that makes the submersible submarines up on MacArthur's Boulevard, was a spin-off from the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, my vision and my goal is that we have these companies as spin-offs from the unmanned aerial system test site at Otis, and we bring those good-paying jobs, both light manufacturing and research and development jobs, here to Cape Cod, so that our young men and women, when they graduate from high school and go on to either community college or 4-year college, can say, I can go back home and have a good job and participate in our nation's security and our future. Number 2, public safety. Many of you know I worked for Sheriff Cummings for 13 years. Began working in crime prevention until September 11th. September 11th, a lot of things changed for all of us. And the Sheriff's Office began a role in Homeland Security and Emergency Management. I took on the new role then as the Citizen Corps Director and brought the 5 Citizen Corps programs to the Cape, and to this day our Citizen Corps Council meets on a monthly basis to make sure that we take nonprofit organizations to leverage the resources with our public safety and law enforcement officials. And so on the horizon I see 2 priorities. 1, we need to protect and preserve the Barnstable County Fire Training Academy. We have to clean up any mess that's there, but we have to preserve that training. If we're going to expect our towns to send our firefighters all the way out to Springfield or Stowe, that's going to reduce the level of training and it's going to reduce the level of safety. So I'm committed to cleaning up any issues from the past at the site, and to making sure that Barnstable County firefighters have the ability and the towns have the ability to train right here on Cape Cod. On the other side of public safety, we have our police officers, our law enforcement officials from various organizations, and we have an initiative called POST, Peace Officer Standard and Training. Almost every state in the United States has a system of dedicated revenue for funding the training of our police officers. They have a system that credentials our police officers, and like in any field, occasionally you have a bad apple, a way to de-credential someone who should not be protecting our rights to liberty and freedom in enforcing the law. And Representative Holmes, a Democrat from Boston, and I are the key sponsors. Representative Holmes has come on this term with me on the bill. We have got it out of public safety. It is now preparing to make its way out of Ways and Means, and we hope to have the House vote by the end of this session. But we are committed to making sure that our law enforcement officials, whether they are correctional officers, whether they are state police or municipal police, are safe on the streets so that they can make us safe and keep our community safe. Education, Chris mentioned our work in education, but education a priority in early education. Making sure that young folks like Emma, who goes to preschool up at Falmouth High School when she's not at Kathy's here too, hi Kathy, my Aunt Kathy at daycare, having a preschool setting where they can prepare to enter kindergarten ready to learn. We need to make sure that we expand that if we're ever going to close the achievement gap, and if we're ever going to raise the level of performance of our students at the high school level, we have to make sure that they enter school ready to learn. And we must continue to invest in early education and care throughout the Commonwealth. Our opioid crisis, we've talked a lot about it. The one real issue now that I want us to begin to create a renewed sense of focus in the opioid issue is we need treatment beds on Cape Cod. We need additional long-term treatment beds on Cape Cod. I am sick of picking up the newspaper like I did last week to find out 2 more folks in Falmouth died. I'm sick of picking it up on a weekly basis to see that. I'm sick that someone that was going to be here tonight that we worked so hard together is at the wake for a family member outside of town who's succumbed to this disease. We need to hold folks accountable in the law enforcement side, but we also need to open up and bring them the treatments and the service that they need so that they can go on to continue to live the dignified life which they have a right to and which they led to before the addiction. We need to focus on that. And the last one is potholes. And it's not like DOT potholes, Governor. I know we did the Chapter 90 funds, but it's potholes. This is what I call when I go to the supermarket, and I always say, oh boy, everybody's got a pothole they need to be filled. And some of you came up to me and thanked me when I walked in the door for some potholes that we filled for you that I didn't know we filled. And some of you came up to me and told me about a pothole that you had to fill. These are constituent issues. These are things that you make repeated calls to a state agency and you never hear back. This is, you run a service center, a food pantry, and you have some stupid fine from some state agency that misinterpreted the law, and it took us 2.5 years to change the law, fix it, go back, and put the money back into the Falmouth Service Center where it belongs. That's the potholes that need to be filled. That's a focus for me every day, is to help you make those connections and to solve those problems. And I couldn't do it without the person who answers that phone and usually is the one who calls you back, Kathy Palmer. Kathy, thank you for filling those potholes each and every day. And so those are the things that we want to talk about over the next few months as we lead to the November election. Economic development, public safety, education, our opioid crisis, and just doing what's right, filling those potholes right here in our community, helping you get the help that you need and deserve. The last thing I want to do is just say that I had a very unique opportunity. Unfortunately, couldn't be with us tonight, but the minority leader in the House, Bradley Jones, who, as soon as I took office, put me under his wing, along with Vinnie, who was in the Republican leader's office at the time in the House, and taught me a little bit about how the institution works, where the challenges are, where their potholes are, but gave me a unique opportunity early to see the entire legislative process. Many of you remember the NEC, New England Compounding Pharmacy, where we had the meningitis outbreak. And there were a series of oversight hearings through public safety on the committee I serve on. And then the previous governor, appointed a special commission to try to investigate and find out what needed to be done. And Bradley Jones recommended my name, and I got appointed to serve on Governor Patrick's NEC Special Commission. We made a series of recommendations, which then became a piece of legislation. During that entire time, I'm not a pharmacist. I'm a kid from T-Ticket. I went down to DC and studied politics. The gentleman behind me, Brian Keefe, who graduated from New England College of Pharmacy, was my technical expert and was on every call and led me and briefed me and trained me. So thank you for teaching me about those USPs. We made changes in law and the House debate, and then when the bill was different than the Senate bill, the minority leader put me on the conference committee. And so I had the opportunity to go from a crisis to an oversight hearing to an executive special commission to participating on a floor debate and going into the conference with the conferees to resolve the final bill. To the point where the FDA and the federal government said a lot of things that we need to change at the federal level around pharmacies have to do with what Massachusetts did through their comprehensive process. And so, to Bradley Jones, the leader, thank you for, at an early time, putting me in a slightly involved leadership position, but thank you for also putting me in my current leadership position as ranking member of the bonding committee. For those of you that are geeks for government, you get to watch the House and turn it on TV, you see the folks that are standing up at the rostrum during the informal sessions. And that's where those day-to-day nuts and bolts things that government have. And I had the honor, as one of a handful of folks in the Republican caucus, to be part of that process and to cover those sessions in the informal. And it's an honor to be able to do that. The crowd tonight, when we walked in the door, somebody said, "How many are you going to have?" I said, "I have no idea. We put out some Facebook things and a couple of postcards, and we'll see how it goes." And I was just overwhelmed when I walked in the front door. And many folks had to leave already. And so, from me to you, thank you. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for being with me for the past 5.5 years. Thank you for being with me moving forward to November 8th. I'm Dave Vieira. I'm from T-Ticket. It is an honor to be your state rep.